Hello, everyone. I have a really special message to share with you today. This one is truly, really making my heart really full, and I'm really looking forward to sharing this with you. Coming up exactly on August 11th, the planet Jupiter will be on the fixed star Sirius. That's exactly at 14 degrees of Cancer. And this is going to last for a few days, so we can consider this a window of time around, so starting from around August 11th until August 15th. And this is super important. This is super significant because Sirius is a very important star for us here on Earth. It's considered to be a fixed star, which means that it does move, but it moves really, 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 really slowly. So we consider it to be fixed in the sky. And there's so many legends, there's so many myths, there's so many stories about Sirius. It's also known as the dog star. It's in the constellation of Canis Major, and it is the brightest star in our night sky. And it's been revered. It's been revered by so many ancient civilizations and so many civilizations here on our planet, our ancestors, till this day, have acknowledged the importance of Sirius, the light that's coming from Sirius. So the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Dogon people of Mali, if you've never heard about the Dogon people of Mali, please do some research. Please Google it because they're this tribe that pretty much had knowledge about Sirius, like astronomical knowledge about Sirius B. Actually, there's Sirius A, B, and C, and they actually had knowledge about Sirius B way before, modern science confirmed it in the 20th century. So they did have ancient advanced astronomical knowledge, or having ways of getting information beyond the usual means. Um, and then in ancient Egyptian astrology, the heliacal rising of Sirius, this is when it first becomes visible before sunrise. This was a signal of the flooding of the Nile. So it was this time of renewal, abundance, rebirth. So you see how it's been considered. I mean, these are just a few examples, but Sirius has been considered by many traditions as a sacred portal. And I personally believe that there are beings in Sirius that are very much connected with us, our evolution. They are our galactic brothers and sisters, and helpers. So when Jupiter conjunct Sirius, which means when Jupiter is on Sirius, which is again from August 11th to August 15th, and Jupiter, as you probably know, Jupiter is all about expansion and growth and wisdom and abundance and higher knowledge. So when it aligns with Sirius, it's a sacred portal for higher learning, spiritual initiation, soul expansion. This only happens every 12 years or so. And so it's pretty relevant. It's pretty significant. It takes 12 years for Jupiter to be at this location that it is now. So we need to connect with it. In esoteric traditions, Sirius is considered to be the gateway to higher realms and a cosmic teacher. So as this is happening, some suggestions is tune into cosmic downloads. Do your meditation, pay attention to your dreams, keep a dream journal. Pay attention to what's coming up for you. Maybe it's an intuition, maybe it's an insight, maybe it's a conversation you're having with someone. It's something that someone says that kind of, you know, sparks your something in you, or it's something you come across. So if it's the lyrics of a song, but pay attention to what's paying attention to you, because there is something here of a higher intelligence for that, really the higher spiritual nature speaking to us. But we need to tune in, right? We need to tune in to be able to hear these messages and transmissions. And many times they don't come in the usual ways that we're used to receiving messages. It's a lot more subtle. It's the symbolism of things. It's sometimes things that only make sense to you, that only you can understand it and grasp it and make sense of it. So pay attention during those days. And then the other thing about Sirius that I want to share with you is this connection with the sisterhood and the divine feminine. You know, Sirius is deeply connected to this goddess, divine feminine energy. In Egyptian mythology, which is something that I love learning and exploring, Sirius was associated with Isis, the Holy Mother, the goddess of magic, the goddess of healing, of feminine power. Isis is a protector of women and honoring the female principle. She's, the priestess of Isis. She's the carrier of ancient mystery teachings in this terrestrial realm. And the stories say that she was actually given a directive to bring the mystery teachings and create the mystery schools here on our planet. So she's described as the soul of Sirius A. But remember, there's Sirius A and there's Sirius B, and it's really interesting how Sirius A, it's the brightest star, so we can see it, right, with the naked eye. But Sirius B, we actually can't see it. Isis actually has a twin sister, Nephthys. And Nephthys is not often recognized and not always, and we don't really know about her that much. Isis, everyone, you don't have to study Egyptian traditions to know about Isis. But her sister Nephthys, it's a lot more hidden. But if you understand the traditions and the older stories, she is just as a vital part of the ritual and the magic and the tradition, just as much as Isis. They're twins. And together they represent this sacred feminine polarity. They're these two complementary forces of the divine feminine that really complete each other. So I actually want to show you some slides here that can just bring a little more understanding of this. So here you see the sisters, Nephthys and Isis. So Isis is the sovereign priestess. She's the divine mother. She's the goddess of magic and motherhood and rebirth. And she's very solar. She's very visible. She's here on earth with us. And you see how on her head you see this little throne. So it's really symbolizing, her name means the throned one. So it's really symbolizing her role as the queen of that divine feminine authority. There's stature to her. So in many ways, she's the illuminated face of the feminine. She represents this visible part of the feminine, the nurturing, the sovereignty aspect of womanhood. You know, it's a part that restores and gives birth and heals. It's that creative side of womanhood. And in the story, she's the one who resurrects her partner, her beloved, Osiris. So really showing that deep power of transformation and devotion and the healing arts and the sacred union. So just like Sirius A, we see her. She's very visible. We know her name. Everyone knows her name. But Nephthys, see her sister. So here's Nephthys, so Isis has the throne, you see the black throne, and Nephthys um, is her twin, and she's actually the shadow sister. She's the death guardian. She's the keeper of the mystery. She's the goddess of the night. She's the unseen. So she's very lunar. She's as Isis is all about the day and the light, and Nephthys is very lunar. She's working on the underworld, and it's about the mysteries and the protection of the dead. So it's very much these liminal spaces, the darkness, not in a negative sense, but just in the parts of us that are not always revealed, not always shown. Her name means the lady of the house. So really linking that lady of the house and what happens inside the temple, behind the closed doors and secrecy in those inner chambers of magic. So again, the things that we're not necessarily showing and revealing and putting out there. So remember, Isis is the illuminated face of the feminine. Nephthys is the hidden face of the feminine. So it's also about grief and endings and the veils between the worlds. So she's often misunderstood and many times overshadowed by Isis, but she's just as essential. She holds the thresholds, guiding the soul. So Isis is the one who's really, welcoming the souls as they're being born, and Nephthys is guiding the souls um, uh, to that sacred container of death so the rebirth can occur. And we can think about this in a very symbolic way as well. Um, so you see these sisters, these twins, as spiritual mirrors, each one holding part of the whole, day and night, life and death, light and shadow, inner world, outer world, right? The feminine mysteries, that together, that's the whole of the feminine mysteries. Together they embody those two divine aspects of the sacred feminine, each one holding an important piece, a vital piece of this cosmic life force, of this cosmic dance. Isis bringing life and renewal and magic, and Nephthys holding the release, the endings, the composting of the things and that no longer serve us. Isis is visible. Sirius A, we can see Sirius A, radiant, seen, celebrated. And Nephthys is working. Her work is hidden. Sirius B, we can't see Sirius B. We need a telescope. So it's veiled and mysterious and often overlooked, but so potent and so important, right? So again, just like in the cosmos, we don't always see what's happening in the dark, right? But we live it, we feel it, and we're shaped by it. So a sacred polarity here, right? And this really in the importance of honoring both, to honor both of the full spectrum of the feminine, which is light and shadow, seen and unseen, birth and death, power and surrender, right? The great mysteries of the feminine, and how there's no singular truth, but really constantly a sacred dance between all of it. Um, so what happens this day as Sirius is on, I'm sorry, Jupiter is on Sirius, as you can see here, inside the golden circle. Not only Jupiter is on Sirius, but Venus is also present in this alignment, you know? And I think Venus here brings such an important piece to all of this because Venus is the guardian of love and beauty and the sacred feminine. Venus is deeply woven into the sacred feminine mysteries. So it's that heart-centered quality that Venus is bringing to this activation. So it's not just about tuning in to these frequencies in this very abstract way, but it's about bringing it into form, into our relationships. That's Venus, into our values, into what we create, into the way we are showing up and loving. So this is such a powerful feminine transmission. Sirius really opening the portal to this ancient feminine wisdom and so remembrance. Venus inviting us to anchor it in love and beauty and honoring ourselves, honoring our bodies, honoring the nature, honoring all of our relationships, all of the people in our lives. And Jupiter magnifying this, expanding the reach of this activation in both within and without. So it's such a potent time to reconnect with the feminine principles, the feminine mysteries, not just as an idea, but really as a life force, as a living force, a life force that heals, that restores, that rebalances. And this might stir up memories, dreams. This might be a moment where you feel that you need to reclaim a part of yourself. And the ways of the feminine are the ways of wisdom, are the ways of softness, but power and freedom. So these energies are available, to support us and truly accessing these deeper layers of our soul and our creative flow, our spiritual truth. Not just not just observing it, but really embodying it. So anything that you can do these days to embody those things, I think it's so powerful. And then the other thing that's happening, there's a simultaneous activation that's actually we've been in already, and we will be during in August during this moment of Jupiter in Sirius and Venus. As you see in the red circle, Uranus is currently on the fixed star Alcyone. Alcyone is the brightest star in the Pleiades, and the Pleiades are called the Seven Sisters. So it's another star that speaks about the sisterhood. The Seven Sisters, there's a whole Greek myth about the Seven Sisters, and then in ancient Egypt, it was the seven Hathors, all about the heart. It's like the heart of the sisterhood, the sacred sisterhoods, and these awakenings and downloads and maybe even new consciousness codes. Um, it's really special. It's really, really special and such an opportunity to embody feminine wisdom, to do emotional healing and to honor the interconnectedness of life. There's again so many esoteric traditions often talk about the Pleiadian beings working really closely here with us on Earth and being such empathic teachers and um yes and really energetic healers and these just really heart-centered beings. So you see how Jupiter, Venus on Sirius, Uranus is on Alcyone with the brighter star in the Pleiades. And so what happened, let me show you just one more thing. So when Uranus entered Gemini, which was back on July 7th, you see that Venus was right next to it, right? Uranus moved into the 0 degree of Gemini, and then Venus was at 2 degrees Gemini. And so since then, so from July 7th until she gets to um, 14 degrees of Cancer, which is where she's going to meet Jupiter. So she's been traveling from the Pleiades to Sirius. So there's a transmission here. Something is being carried from one place to the next place. So there's, again, awakening these codes, carrying mysteries. And yes, I do think there is something here of this feminine, awakening the feminine collective, which is all about nurturing, compassion, intuitive, empathy. It's about being in the heart. Um, so yes, I'm just really excited about this and how that's going to show up for you. Um, and one more thing about Sirius that I forgot to mention is that there's a lot about Sirius that is often linked with Atlantis and Lemurian wisdom lineages. So, and like in ancient Egyptian traditions associated with Isis, which was a keeper of these ancient sacred mysteries. So, is this a cosmic awakening? Is this some sort of a collective remembrance that's surfacing right now in all those traditions of Egypt and Avalon and Lemuria. Um, there's, so many of them talk about the sacred sisterhoods returning. And what I mean about the sacred sisterhood and the sacred feminine, what does that mean in practical terms, right? In everyday life? I don't mean that there's going to be a being that's going to incarnate here and it's going to make it all better. I mean that to me, this is the comeback of the mother, the primordial mother, not just as a goddess, but as a life force. It's the way of the mother is a way of being. It's a way of existing here on this planet. It's a way of living our lives. And when we commune with others, when we commune with nature, when we brush our teeth, when we get our tasks done, like, it's to live within that sacred feminine way, which permeates everything and anything. And if you are a man, I think this message is equally important to you because this is beyond gender. This is about the feminine energies in all of us that are seeking to claim its space. So compassion as power and softness as strength and patience and compassion and the energy of nurturing and the energy of mercy and softness. So it's about tending instead of conquering and feeling instead of dominating and weaving instead of dividing. So it's about living on behalf of the sacredness of life and the interconnectedness of all life, always in balance with nature instead of what we've been doing, which is division, right? It's colonization, it's separation, which has been this matrix that we've been living on for quite a long time. So as these sacred feminine energies are coming alive in each one of us, it's about living life in sacred service, which means being a pillar of light, being a pillar of love, seeing the light in others, and really a remembrance, a deep, deep remembrance that transcends division. Just like in ancient times, the priestess, the sisterhoods, they held the fabric of the community together, of the society together, in their reverence and their wisdom and their leadership, and the commitment of their sacred rituals and their sacred offerings. So we're called again to this wisdom. You know, that's why we're here, to honor, to remember, and then to honor this interconnectedness and to anchor this frequency of love, in our personal lives and in everything we do, right? Really awakening these inner codes. So, um, some ideas of what to do during these days. I think connecting with the stars, you can't go wrong with that, right? If you have a chance to meditate under the night sky, especially around the dates of alignment, I think it's really special, really powerful. Calling in the sisterhood, literally or energetically, but being open to the connection, to the support, to the resonance. Maybe it's about taking action, volunteering, or coming together with friends, like, but just being in that um circle, being in that circle. I think it's really, really a great time for that. Asking for guidance, journaling, for example. Um, so asking, what wisdom is Sirius offering me right now? What part of myself is the Pleiadians like calling me to remember and opening up to receive these transmissions? And again, they can come through in so many different ways. It might be an intuition, it might be a dream, it might be a sign, it might be something that someone says to you. Speaking of dreams, track your dreams. The Pleiades, especially, they're really closely tied to dream time. So keep a dream journal during this window of time. And like I mentioned before, embodiment work. So bring it to the body, maybe it's through your voice, maybe it's through dance, movement, water rituals, blessing your water, communing with your water. Maybe it's something creative, maybe you're going to feel extra creative, but whatever it is that shows up for you, trust it and move with it. Um, and then finally, I wanted to bring in some phrases, some I guess I could call them some reflections for us to carry together during these times. So the first one, and maybe we can close our eyes and do this together. I remember the way of the mother. I remember the way of compassion. I remember the way of love. I carry the codes of the circle, the temple, and tending to life, tending to myself, tending to everything and everyone. I lead through compassion and I create through connection. I am a daughter or a son of the stars rising with the earth. I love this. I'm a daughter of the stars rising with the earth. I am a pillar of light and love, and wherever I am, that is. Wherever you go, wherever you are, whoever you're with, you embody that light, you embody that love. You are that. And wherever you are, that is. Where I stand, love anchors, and I am the bridge between heaven and earth. Where I stand, love anchors, and I am the bridge between heaven and earth. I am a living portal of remembrance. I awaken light in those around me. I walk in devotion to the highest good. My presence is my prayer. I walk in devotion to the highest good. My presence is my prayer. And then the last thing I want to share with you is that this October at the Omega Institute in New York, we're going to do this incredible, incredible event. It's me and amazing, amazing astrologers, Maurice Fernandez, Nadia Shaw, Lynn Bell, and Ann Ortley. And this is going to be a huge celebration of the feminine in astrology. We're going to talk about Jupiter in Cancer, and we're going to talk about Black Moon Lilith, the asteroids, the eclipses and the star points of 2026, the new planets named after female goddesses. So there's just so much and more because there's so much knowledge and wisdom. And this is also, there's going to be ceremonies, so much more than just sitting and listening. It's going to be a very experiential um, workshop and time together, and it's going to be really amazing. This is not just for astrologers, this is really truly for anyone, astrology enthusiasts. And it's just this is going to be such deep, profound wisdom and insights, and really, truly a celebration of the feminine, which again, this is way beyond just gender. This is the feminine as this universal life force in principles. that is found in all people, all beings, regardless of sex, regardless of identity. The power, the wisdom, the messages, the creativity of this feminine life force that are, as you know, I just talked about, being activated more and more and more. So here we're going to bring you so much more to this, and it's going to be absolutely incredible. So much nourishment for our hearts, nourishment for our minds, our souls, and together we will create a beautiful, beautiful egregore for learning, for experience, for joy, for love. And then we can all leave carrying those seeds to wherever we go and whoever we connect with. So I really, really hope to see you there. That's coming up on October 3rd. So it's the weekend, October 3rd, 4th, and 5th. For more information, please check the link. And I really hope to see you there. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like it and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And make sure to use this portal um, to connect and to connect and to love yourself, others, life. And again, be that pillar of light, anchor that love and that light within. So wherever you are, that is. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.